We're still aiming to go to Worlds. Just have to get our shit together a little bit faster than we anticipated.
Hi guys, this is Tom reporting from the LEC, and with me here is YoungBuck, the coach of Excel Esports. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing quite alright given the circumstances of a 0-3.
Yeah, obviously Excel didn't have the best start of the LEC so far. What are your takeaways of the opening weekend?
It was a pretty rough week, but at least we played better from day to day, and I think it has a lot to do with having two new players that have to adjust to playing on the LEC level, and also the difference between a scrim game and a stage game. So it's disappointing, because you make a decision to make two roster changes, and then you hope to prove everyone that it's the right decision right from the bat, even if you know that it may take some time to grow as a team and get on the same level of synergy as other teams have. So yeah, it's still disappointing, but in the end, it's not the end of the world. We're still aiming to go to Worlds. Just have to get our shit together a little bit faster than we anticipated.
Yeah, and the first day especially was kind of rough, where you guys didn't get a single kill. Now, you guys did have a rough schedule for the opening week. How did you prepare for this weekend?
Well, we just decided there was a specific strategy that we wanted to try. We had the Ezreal Yuumi with Kayle top lane in a lot of our scrims, and we felt it was the best strategy for us to use. We thought Ezreal Yuumi was stronger than Aphelios Lulu. And in our scrims, just a combination of having a Kayle against Ornn was always a good matchup for us, and also worked really well with the Ezreal Yuumi because the Ezreal became unkillable. Sadly, it didn't really work out, and because in our scrims, I think Aphelios Lulu against Ezreal Yuumi was pretty even for us. Where at level 6, the Ezreal Yuumi has a lot of kill pressure, but we got pushed in the entire laning phase, and then shortly before hitting level 6, where we could actually make aggressive moves with jungle, they started lane swapping. So they hats off to Rogue for playing very well. And then of course also there was a mistake in the top lane where Kayle in that specific draft wasn't that great because we had a losing jungle matchup and we couldn't actually help Kryze push out the top lane waves. And when we did try, he died for it. So basically everything just went to shit. So we had the wrong priorities and we also didn't execute very well. But then we had to adjust for the next two games, and we did.
You mentioned as well that you brought in two new players. Now, I would like to know from you what in the spring split made you decide that you would have to swap out the top and mid lane and bring in two new people on the roster.
Well, the absolute main reason is this. At the end of the split, we knew that if we continued with the same roster, we would finish 7th again or worse. There was no way we would actually make top 6. Like, the morale in the team was quite low because of the lack in understanding between Koreans and the English-speaking players. There were some confidence issues, and so we knew no matter what, we have to change something, or we're just going to end bottom 4 again, and that's not what we want to do. So we're willing to take a risk on Special and Kryze. Of course, there's some side reasons, and I think the reasons for X-Pac were different than for Mickey. I don't want to go too much into it, of course, because I think they're actually really nice people, and I think they would do really well in a Korean environment or just an environment where they speak their mother tongue. That's the main reason.
So it had to do with the communication on the team then?
It had a lot to do with communication. So it was difficult for the players to understand what was going on in the moment or to listen to their teammates. It was difficult for them to convey their thoughts clearly inside the game. They had a difficulty understanding feedback in the reviews. So it wasn't easy. So we really wanted to have a roster that had 5 fluent English-speaking players.
How is it for you as a coach to try and manage a team when there's so many communication issues? Because fixing that takes away from the time you'd rather spend on improving your lineup, I imagine.
Yeah, it was very difficult, and it mostly was a powerless feeling because you were teaching people how to play the game, and they would nod and say, yes, I understand, and then they just couldn't. They apparently didn't understand because week after week the same mistakes were made. Yeah. And you would give them feedback over and over and over, but the same mistakes kept happening. And when you're a coach, that really doesn't feel nice. And yeah, we were trying to keep the team together, but I think what you have in a lot of teams is that when you have 2 Korean players and 3 European ones, it often happens that there's 2 groups within the team. And we had something quite similar, where Mickey and Expect were really good friends outside of the game, and the English-speaking players were really good friends outside of the game, and there wasn't really a 5-man unit, and that I can confidently say right now have a 5-man unit. We have 5 guys that love spending time with each other outside of the game, and it helps a lot with the team culture.
Yeah, so let's talk about the new roster then. You hired Kreis and you promoted Special. Let's first talk about Kreis. How did you decide to hire him for the top lane position?
Well, we informed the players that we are replacing Mickey and Expect, and we told them that we are willing to promote both Sendo and Special to the main team. But that we are very open to scout for new talent, and that if they have any names, that they should definitely bring them forward because we will look at them. And Kreis was the only player that was mentioned that we should look at because his name has been dropped a lot among ERL players and LEC players as one of the up-and-coming talents. So basically we got a lead from one of the players, and we started looking at his games, look at his champion pool statistics, everything checked out. He was our number one guy. So we went after him.
Yeah, and the top lane in the LEC is quite contested. Many people would agree there's a clearly defined top 3. Do you think Kreis has the potential to break into that top 3?
Yeah, I think he will need some time. But what I see in practice is that this guy has the potential to break into that top 3. Just from practice alone, we scrim a lot against. We scrimmed a decent amount of times against Origin and G2, and I must say he holds his own and often outperforms them. So, of course, stage is a different animal still, especially since veterans like Alvari and Wunder might not give 100% compared to Felix Kreis, who's trying to prove himself against those guys and giving it all. So, but I think this guy has a lot of potential still.
Now let's move on to the new mid laner, your fellow Dutchman Special, who was promoted from the BTXL roster. Did you scout for other players in that position as well, and was he the best one? Or how did you guys land on promoting Special to the main roster for this split?
We did scout multiple other mid laners, always keeping the eyes open. Of course, you want them to have the best roster possible. Having said that, after we scouted, we realized that Special is our best guy. He scrimmed with us a little bit in January when Mickey fell ill, and he had really solid communication. His communication style is just really efficient and works really well in a professional setting. So for us, it was kind of an easy decision to make because he had a good split in BTXL. We knew he had a really good foundation of communication. So why not? There was no reason not to. There was no reason to gamble on someone because we could have signed players that we felt like were equal in skill, but you don't know what you're going to get personality-wise or communication-wise or how they are as people. But we knew with Joran that he had a really good personality and was strong in communication, so that tipped the scale in his favor.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now looking forward at the rest of the split, you guys have 15 matches still to play. Do you think you guys hit your slump this weekend and it will go better from now on? Where do you see Excel grow over the course of this season?
That's a good question. We actually hit our slump about 3-4 days before the LEC stage. We had some god-awful scrims. It's unbelievably low quality, I have to say. We played very poor. And basically the mistakes that we were making in those practice games also happened on stage. Pretty much the exact same. We had confrontations, the players among themselves, from staff to players, about those mistakes. So already, basically before the LEC started, during the LEC days, we were continuously talking about it. And I feel like we're all aligned that we can have another week like that. We believe in the system. We're doing all right. I think we did agree that we really want to step away a little bit from the scaling options. Especially after the rogue game, because it was a very powerless feeling, and just play more of an assertive playing style, and then seeing if we can end games, and if we can't, at least we go down fighting. So that's an adjustment, and then keep believing. It's difficult to convince a player to keep believing, but I think right now we're still in a good spot in terms of our mental state and mental ability, because we understand that it was a tough schedule. We have 2 rookies. We had some wrong priorities in one of the games, but it wasn't all bad. We got better over the days. We see that, and hopefully then against Origin next week we show an even better version of ourselves.
Now, to round up the interview, I just have to ask you, do you think there's a realistic chance this roster can make the playoffs this season?
If you, let me think about that. No, I mean the quick answer is yes, definitely. I've seen this team scrim against the top 3 teams and do really well, individually and macro-wise. So I see the potential is there. So yes, I see a realistic chance of making playoffs. I do hope we get some wins here and there and keep improving as a team. If we keep improving and fix our current issues, we will make it. If not, and if the players stop believing, then we will not make it.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you very much for your time, YoungBuck, and good luck in the rest of the split.
Thank you very much too.